Well, hello, and good Saturday afternoon. We are back at it again. Don Terrell here. I'm welcoming you to another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I interview people of color and diverse backgrounds in the field of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that I love so much. I hope everybody is having a great Saturday afternoon, a great weekend wherever you're at, and have had a productive week. Uh, Please make sure that you say hello. We are here every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Miss Karen Jackson, I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you're staying warm here in Houston. I'm in Houston and it's cold here. We have got a cold front coming through, and they're expecting a freeze this weekend. So we're definitely, and I moved down here specifically to Houston to get away from cold weather. If you're tuning in from Facebook, you may need to give StreamYard some permission to pull your avatar. So jump over to that link, streamyard.com/Facebook, and give StreamYard permission so they can pull your avatar and I can show you some love on the show. You know the drill. I always do housekeeping to make sure that I am broadcasting live from all my channels. Of course, I broadcast from LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you are tuning in from Facebook or LinkedIn, I would suggest that you go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. That way you can hit the bell notification, subscribe. That way you can check out past episodes and see all the great content that I plan to share on there as well. So again, make sure you say hello so I can give you a shout out. Just making sure that everything is going well. I know last week had LinkedIn had a little glitch, took it a second to start broadcasting live. I hope you're excited about this show because I know I definitely am ready to sit down and talk with my next special guest for sure. I've been looking forward to it all week. Again, this is The Color of Motion, and I am Don Terrell every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Time. That's when you can tune in. All right. Let me make sure that I am broadcasting on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn page. Looks like I am broadcasting on Facebook as well. Make sure you say hello. Let me know how your week is going and where you're tuning in from. Okay. Let me make sure I am going live on my YouTube channel as well. I tend to check it out on my YouTube channel. That's where I tend to watch it. So I am super excited again. This is been looking forward to this episode for a while. This my next guest, great guy, great friend, very super talented too. So excited to be talking to an Emmy Award winner. And he is going to show us that. So we are broadcasting on Facebook. I'm good. Making sure that I'm on my LinkedIn as well. All right. We look ready to rock and roll. All right. We are broadcasting on my YouTube channel. looks like we're good to go. And it looks like we are good to go on LinkedIn. All right. We are good to go. All right. Well, this next guest needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. So, my next guest grew up in San Ysidro, and I hope I pronounced that right, San Ysidro, California, right by the border of Tijuana. Since he was a child, he wanted to be a Disney animator watching cartoons. There was an old black and white segment showing Walt Disney working with animators that got him to want to be one. The first time he applied for a job as an artist, he was 8 years old. 8 years old. I don't even think I was thinking about working at that age. He and his brother pitched a game idea and sent it to Capcom Games. The second time he was 13 and he applied as a comic book artist for DC Comics at a comic convention. The one who interviewed him thought he was part of a joke, but when he realized he was serious, he sat down and gave him very good and resourceful critiques that he took to heart and went home to practice. It wasn't until he was 17 he got a job starting out as a caricature artist at a mall in San Diego called California Caricatures. The owner was an animator who worked on Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, the cartoon. Later at 19, he went to do caricatures and portraits in theme parks such as SeaWorld, San Diego Zoo, and Legoland, just to name a few. Through working in caricatures, he met a lot of artists who had dreams to work in the industry and others who have made a name for themselves, which inspired him to jump into the entertainment industry in Los Angeles. He went to the Academy of Art in San Francisco, first to study illustration, and got his bachelor's at the Art Institute. I've been having a lot of Art Institute alums. I'm an Art Institute alum myself. At the Art Institute in San Diego. When he graduated in 2005, he worked as a freelancer in various places, working on VR simulations for the military, 3D for medical, TV show pitches, and more. His first job as a 2D animator was working on Nick and Jessica Variety Hour for ABC Network, doing short animated segments of the show. In 2006, when he got a chance to move up to Los Angeles, because the Wayans brothers were having a talent search at the Art Institute in San Diego to work on their cartoon show called Boo Crew, Thugaboo, plus their comic strips. He was hired, and so he packed his things and moved to Los Angeles. He started out as a 2D animator for the show, but networked around Los Angeles as he was working there. After the show was done, he later got a job doing visual effects for film and television for the next 5 years at various visual effects houses. In those 5 years, he had the honor of winning an Emmy, which he's going to show on the show, for working on a show called Sports Science. At about 2012, he met someone named Patrick Dillon who introduced him to the world of advertising and movie posters. It was a field he immediately fell in love with and decided to make his new career path and make the jump. Patrick has not only become a great friend and mentor to him, being in the print poster world, started a company called Bond, which he decided to take a leap of faith to work there, even though it was a startup company. When he started there, they only had 10 employees. Because of their hard work and success, which you'll see some of the great work that they do. They've done a lot of stuff on just a lot of great movies that we all seen. The company has now grown to 145 plus and strong. He's since become creative director at Bond, has the chance to work with a great team of hundreds of posters such as Game of Thrones, Borderlands, Avengers, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Dune, Godzilla 1 and 2, Kong, Anthem, Jumanji, Wonder Woman, and so many more. Please, everybody, help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Enrique Torres.
How you doing? I love the audience. Thank you.
Mr. Enrique, I appreciate you so much for being on the show. I am so excited to have you on. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Awesome.
Excited.
Awesome. Oh, this is, like I said, I'm so excited to sit down and talk to you about so many different things that you're working on. Like I said, I connected with you a while ago and was just so taken by all the work that Bond has done, and the work that you do, that I said, okay, I got to have Enrique on the show. Got to have him on the show. So
Yeah, sure. I
I'm
love that.
excited. Miss Elizabeth Lyon, I appreciate you being on the show and tuning in onto the show. She's another future guest that working on having on the show. So I'm excited. Uh, Enrique, tell me what it was like, because you've done a lot of different things. What was it like growing up as a child? What were you like as a child? Were you just that kind of kid that was just off drawing and doing art all the time yourself, or what?
Yeah, I was that kid, that weird kid, I guess you could say. um, my mom told me the story. Is like she said I would get in trouble all the time in school for drawing because I'm not listening. I'm just drawing. Then one story she said, and here's the funny thing is that I love drawing. I'm a big like Godzilla fan when I was a kid. I love those kind of Tokyo, Japan monster movies,
Yeah.
and so when I that's what I like to draw, and it was just those. And the teacher thought I was being demonic, so they were suggesting my mom to see I need to see a psychiatrist or a counselor. It was
Oh my
funny, yeah. So she said it was kind of like a trip. Me growing up from the elementary school and all that, so it wasn't probably till when I was like in middle school or high school, I was like people started to understand. Oh, you just likes drawing, movie monsters.
yeah.
But yeah, I was that kid that always you know got into trouble because of that.
Trust me, I've had my share of that myself. Always drawing on my book covers and just kind of into, and I think that's kind of the thing with artists. They're just into their own world. There, are you? Is the rest of your family kind of artistically inclined, or was it just you kind of growing up that was showed the talent of art?
It ran in my mom's family. Like all the men were amazing artists. It was just me and my brother that took it as a career, and that was the interesting thing. We pretty much were just drawing through the whole time. Are you still there?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
I can put you full screen so you can
Oh,
see.
full screen. There you go. Hey, okay. So, um, it runs in my family. Even the women's side were always really good at crafting things, and then the men's side were always good at drawing. I don't know how that happened, but it was just almost in our DNA. So yeah, it runs in our family. It was pretty much like I said. Everyone else in my mother's side of the family, it wasn't a career choice. It was like grow be a good artist, do it as a hobby, then go to the military. I was actually probably one of the first of the family that actually took it as a career and went right through it.
Gotcha, gotcha. Oh man. So your mother, because I had talked about this with a guest a couple of weeks ago, that her mother was really influential in guiding his career. Was your mother or parents like that? Because I know, I mean, my mom knew I had talent, but she wasn't like, really taking me to, like comic book stores or things like that, but she knew I had talent.
Yeah. No, same thing. Both my parents were actually encouraging. They actually they did they would buy me the comic books. Now my mom thought, kids need to learn how to read, so might as well just buy them a comic book or a game magazine instead of buying them a book. Because they knew my attention span was so low. So I was like, buying me Huckleberry Finn, I'm not gonna read that. But she goes, well, would you want to read? And I'm just like, well, X-Men's cool. She's like, well, so it was just an encouragement to read and everything. So she was in that ways, I guess she saw it as the support, as it's still educational in some ways. So, but yeah, my parents were very supportive on it.
Got you. So you were pretty. You already pretty much had in your mind, I guess. So if you're applying for jobs at 8 years old, and like I said, when I was 8, I knew I wasn't thinking about applying. Although, like I said, I was drawing my own little. Well, I guess maybe I was, because I was drawing my own little comic strip and sending them, like King Features and things like that. But applying at
Yeah.
right for a DC comic book artist, I tell you, that's pretty bold. So,
Yeah.
so
And
you
it's funny thinking about it now. It's
what?
funny thinking about it now because we made like a 10-page old storyline that we just crammed in a little envelope. We're like 8, 9 years old, just so it's like a ball of an envelope like that. We mailed it in.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! So, what? You know, you knew right off the bat you were going to go to school for. This was what you wanted to do, and you were going to go to school for it.
Actually, that wasn't in my mind. It was like probably during high school. See, where I grew up in San Ysidro, it was like you were taught that, and I'm sure you understand too, because this is kind of like how the old school ways were growing up. It's just like you graduate high school, get a job, get married, have kids. Everyone in my neighborhood did that.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a disappointment. Like I was like, oh, is that I even dropped out of high school like when I was 15 or 16 because it was like, yeah, because I went back when I dropped out, it's because I felt like, well, I got to do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
So why does it matter? But it's when I got the job doing, when I started when I was 19 doing the caricatures at the theme parks. That's when I met other artists who had the aspirations to go to college and be Disney artists. So that's what got me to want to go back to school and get my education and go to college and everything else. So it was kind of like a weird stage in my life, because it was like I said, that's how you were taught.
Yeah,
growing up.
Yeah, like I said, I know. I don't know. Guess I'm a little bit older. You see all the gray hair.
I shaved mine off, so
but like I said, you're taught a certain thing. Like I said, my mom knew I had talent, but she also felt like, she wasn't sure if this was a job that was gonna do anything. So, always encouraging you. Well, you need to get a job or go into the service or do something that, she didn't think that this was going to be what I wanted to do and was going to be able to, support myself. And that's just kind of, like you said, the thing that is just permeated through the neighborhoods that we grew up in is just get something stable, get some insurance and have a family and live your life that way, as opposed to thinking beyond what you want, your dreams of what you really want to do and being able to take them. So what were some of the big, obviously working at some of the theme parks and being around other creatives really kind of helped spur you on to go forward in your dream. What were some of the lessons that you kind of picked up, from that?
Oh man, it was like when you see them leave, like they become your friends, and then they're just leaving, almost like dropping like flies. They're like, "Oh, I'm going." I'm like, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to Cal Arts. I'm gonna I'm gonna become a Disney animator, and that's what clicked. It was just like that childhood dream of mine came back, and it was just like, and they were just every now and then, one by one, just every guy kept leaving, and I was like, I need to do that. I'm just like, what's stopping me? Nothing stopped them, and I even asked them, oh, how'd you guys like, the tuition and all that's ridiculous, right? It's always the number one thing. That's why United States is $1 trillion in debt and student loans, right?
Trust me, people, I'm not going to admit it, I just paid off my school loan 2 years ago. And I graduated, well, I don't know. Like I said, it wasn't like I took out an enormous amount. I mean, it wasn't really like for the full, I went to the art institute. Yeah, I went to the art institute. So I only took out maybe like 2 semesters worth of but like I said, I graduated a long time ago. I just paid it off.
Oh man,
they probably made way more off of the interest as opposed to what I actually, took from loan from them. But yeah, it's just crazy. The tuition. I was actually had a small little scholarship to go to Cal Arts. But I was I did. I had applied and got it was like maybe $1,500 to go to Cal Arts, put towards Cal Arts. But at the time, even though I
spent 3 days over there.
Well, I didn't have, like I said, I didn't. I spent a few days. That's about it. But I was kind of young and didn't know I had family out there, so I was kind of worried about just going out there by myself. I didn't know I had family at the time, and I could have went, but But it was an experience. I mean, like I said, I'm an Art Institute alumni like you.
Oh, cool, yeah.
And ended up coming down here to Houston and graduated from the Art Institute of Houston.
Oh, cool.
So moving, you obviously have touched a lot of different spaces, doing visual effects, caricatures. For you, was it kind of a progression, or did you? I mean, was it one, or is there one kind of space that you really kind of liked as you were going, through it? I mean, visual effects and drawing is even though it's in the same kind of genre, so to speak, it's still technically visual effects seems a little bit, harder.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess what I learned is like visual effects to me, I feel it's like like visual effects to me felt like it was like 90% technical and 10% art.
Yeah.
And motion graphics is definitely more art than 10 tech. It's like almost half and half.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about and then drawing is art, but it still has its technical form abilities. And I guess what I loved about doing the movie posters is literally like 50-50. So I could still use a lot of my artistic ability and also, like my technical know-how of how to achieve a poster out there. But yeah, visual effects, it's become where, like, not to knock on it because everyone has their own passion. Like I know guys that love visual effects. Yeah. It's almost like you got to find what you like because now it's really broken up avenue. Even game design has become its own animal.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like now there's so many fields you could jump on. And I was very fortunate to jump on each field and just try them all. I have to say I'm very blessed about that because I do know a lot of friends that they were just in one field like their whole career. So at least I was able to dab on each thing and everything else. Hopefully that answers your question. It's just
it did. Is your role, I mean, you're in this space now as creative director. What does that kind of entail as it pertains to your role being a creative director?
So it's I learned in the advertising world when you get that kind of role, it's like you're a creative director of what department you're on. So it's like I'm creative director of the 3D department in Bond. And so I pretty much run the whole department and I would even work with the other creative directors that would, we would game plan and try to have creative thought of how to attack like a certain poster idea with the other. So it's almost like you're managing everything else, but at the same time you're working with the other creatives to create this awesome piece of movie poster. And you know, which is great because I get to have a say on what I feel too. It's like, you know, this should be like, you know, for example, it was like the Avengers poster, the one that everyone sees the A just breaks apart.
Yeah.
The big teaser poster is like, how do we tackle such things like that? I'm like, well, I love to hire my friend Alan McKay, who's like,
I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm a big fan of Alan, and I listened to his podcast and done some of great guy, and he was talking about just the whole process of the Avengers project, and I didn't even realize it until
I called him.
That's amazing. Amazing, great guy, it really is, and super talented. I was telling because I had a couple of guests back. He was a gamer, you know, in the game space, and we were talking. We were talking about just how games have gotten so movie style visual, you know. And I was telling him, I was asking him, did you see the God of War little animation thing that they, you know, premiered during the Super Bowl, and Alan McKay, you know, worked on that, and it was like, oh man, just the trip.
Oh yeah.
So where did you meet Alan at? I mean, how did you get connected with Alan?
It was, I have to say, it was definitely over 10 years ago. I have to say it was there. It was like I was still kind of young in the visual effects world, and it was for a game trailer. So what happened was that Blur Studios kind of broke up, like the partners broke up, and the two like partners created their own company, but they ended up hiring a lot of the Blur guys to freelance with them. I forgot what the company's called, Farmer Brown or something. It was a funny name, but they still took a chunk of the CG trailers, and so I was hired, and that's how I met Alan. But I was like the new guy in that whole group, and so he was like the nicest guy. He made me feel comfortable in the whole group, and we just became friends ever since. And boy, we drank like crazy too every
after work. He's a big beer drinker, man. He just loved to drink. He was
oh boy. You know, I can't do it now, but back then, yeah.
Well, he says he's slowed up a lot too. So after a while, you gotta slow up a little bit for sure. Cool. I appreciate you joining the show. Thank you again. If you're just tuning in, I am sitting here with my good friend Enrique Torres, creative director of 3D at BOND. Mr. Neil Shapiro, I appreciate you tuning in. Speaking of, you know, Alan and being a new person in, what was kind of the biggest lesson that you kind of learned during that period, just starting out in the industry?
Yeah, you know, it's the one thing. It's definitely it has a lot to do with your personality. You know, I think that's what, because there's a lot of times it's like if I don't come off that arrogant kid straight. So one thing a lot of people know, and yeah, I'm sure you know now, because we're older, we've been in the industry for a while. You see that arrogant kid come straight out of college, think they know everything, and you know, kind of rub off you wrong, because it's like, no, you don't. It's just because you had your straight A's in college doesn't mean.
You were the top kid in college, but now it's different.
Yeah, and I learned the lesson is like from there, and it's just like you just come off and say, hey, look, I'm new at this. I'm doing the best I can. Can you show me what I need to do? Right? You know, they're willing to give you a helping hand, and that's the one thing I came off of there. It's like, you know, I think I did come off in the beginning like that kid, but then when I learned, is like I just need to appreciate these guys are willing to put the time to train me. I need to show them that I really appreciate you guys always putting that time for me. So that's one thing I learned off of it. Just trying to be just as humble as you could, because
Yeah.
the more humble and the more appreciative you show them, the more they actually want to teach you.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and,
I know Alan's talked about it a lot, and something I see too. It's such a small industry,
yeah,
and everybody knows everybody, and that's basically how people move from studio to studio because they're recommended by people they work with at other
that's all
studios.
it is. Yeah.
So don't be a jerk is what he was saying. So you got to be. Most studios want to know that you're able to get along in the culture and be that kind of person that's willing to, like you said, learn and be open to learn.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with that, and pressure. I think you probably know that, right? Pressure is number one thing you gotta learn, especially in those kind of studios. It's just the turnarounds are so fast.
Yeah.
That's something you either learn how to deal with it, or something that if it's not fit for you, then
Yeah. Did it take you a while to kind of get that way to where you were able to move? Because like you said, just coming into the industry and in a studio with so many other way talented people, you get that kind of, and this was a kind of a question I was going to ask you before, this imposter syndrome. Like, why am I really good enough to be here and keep up with everybody? Did it really take you long to kind of get your feet up under you and get,
I think, I really feel that the theme parks prepared for me on that, because I call it the artist boot camp. It's it's definitely, you're learning how to sell to a client. You're literally trying to get that person to sit down. So you're pitching it to a client, having them sit down, and you have a deadline. You have 5 minutes to do a drawing. So and then you're trying to upsell them.
yeah,
For frame. It's almost like you're constantly have to make, and you're commission only. So you constantly have to learn how to deal with clients. Then also take where people hate your work. It has happened every now and then. So you got to learn how to take that. So it was like it was. I think definitely the theme parks helped me get humble on that way when I went to the visual effects studio. Even when some people were trying to get really like hard on me on my work, I would it didn't bother me. I would just say thank you. I appreciate the
yeah,
critiques. I'll definitely learn from that. And I think that surprised them, because I'm sure there's some kids that would get really emotional and
yeah. But it was like you said, like I was saying in your bio, how the guy, the DC guy, gave you constructive criticism and really, gave you some positive things that you took back and worked on. Like you said, you could either take it one way or the other.
yeah. No, for sure. That was a funny time, because he was even looking around, thought it was like a joke. He's like,
Is
he's like,
Alan
he's
Fudd
messing with
going to
me.
jump
Yeah,
out here or what?
he's a little kid doing it.
But it shows the dedication, shows the dedication and the passion
Yeah.
that you have for the craft for sure. Do you miss, I mean, do you get a chance now to kind of put pencil to paper and pen to paper like you did before, or do your kind of duties keep you away from that, or do you try to now?
I do a lot of that in my personal time. I try to draw as much as I can.
Yeah,
That's right. That's number one. It doesn't matter how many softwares or whatever you learn. You never want to stray away from what you were taught from the beginning. And I think drawing, because I think the industry evolves. Softwares come and go.
yeah.
And yeah, the one thing that never leaves is your artistic ability.
Yeah,
So
always working on your talent. Always working on your talent for sure.
yeah,
Uh, you're doing a lot of different things outside of Bond. What that was a big leap for you. As a startup. I mean, what made you decide to do it? I mean, like you said, it is a startup. You wasn't sure whether it was going to do it, but it was a friend and a mentor. Was that the motivating factor for you in deciding to do it?
That's a good question. It was just like I was in trailer park and the one in Hollywood. That's where I was working, and it seemed like I was pretty secure being there. So, and yeah, it was Patrick, who was a very good friend. He was the one that hired me to work at trailer park, and he introduced me in the world of print. And then it was like a short time that we got a chance to work together, and it was when I first met him. It was the time where I was like, I was ready to move on from the visual effects. I was kind of like not. I was kind of like in a world where I was just. I need to find. I still need. I haven't found myself yet. I
Yeah.
still haven't found what I truly enjoy. When I met him, and then he introduced me to the world of movie poster, it struck me like lightning. I go, this is it. I'm like, I've been, and it was funny, but going back to about drawing, is like that's what I loved about movie posters. You could combine your illustration skills, you combine your design skills, and your 3D skills, and your motion skills all in one piece, and it was like that's it. That's what I was looking for. I think because I feel like I owe it to him when he said I'm going to start my company. It's just like he said I'm taking the risk, and it's like I'll take it with you. I've done that though many times in the past where it costed me tens of thousands of dollars, and I've I don't know, the stubbornness of me maybe just do it, or I don't know. That's the thing about our industry is risks, right? You get called up for some company, and then you get called up other companies, and you're like, because when you're freelancing, you're like, well, which one should I take? Which the right? I feel like that's what our industry is. It's just always a risk take. I don't believe our industry is about security. A lot of people, I think there's a misconception of that. You always need to network. You always need to try to find ways to move up. Even at the job you are now, I always feel like you always need to jump forward on the next thing that's coming up. So that's how I felt. It's like I don't want to be those people that are comfortable being at one place, because then 10 years from now you could be behind on what's in the new or what's in the end. You got to always try to leap forward. So that's why I took the leap of faith to go to Bond. It was like, maybe this is something, if I joined them, this could lead to something big. But like I said, it was definitely a huge risk. I still to this day don't know what got me to just make that jump. But like I said, I definitely felt it was the crew, that not just Patrick Dillon, but the crew that worked there. I felt like we were doing such great things for that little moment in trailer park. It would be cool to try to do it again at another studio.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can see we have.
Obviously, which I am going to throw it up right now. So obviously, he, as you can see, he's worked on a lot of great projects. The Strain, which I really did love that series, was an awesome FX show that I really loved. You can see the movie the poster for that. Pacific Rim. I really loved it. Wasn't critically acclaimed, but I loved the show. I loved the movie and the second one as well. Obviously, Rogue One. Some awesome, great movie posters for sure. Obviously, moving into starting his own company, he had already built relationships with studios to where, okay, maybe we can do one or two projects to get the ball rolling. Was that pretty much the thing with him? He already kind of had built up some momentum a little with relationships with people.
Oh yeah, he was smart about that. He had partners that's what they specialized. He had people already. He's been in the industry for like 30 years, so just all the networking he had, he was able to use that to he has it's let me see, Ryan, Luke, Seth, and Pat. It's like 4 owners, and each of them just have specialized, on what they're good at to help contribute on the company. So you got foreigners with a ton of just of other experience and networks that they brought into that fishbowl of the company to just create what it is now.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it is have to do, what he taught me a lot too. Is like, yeah, you want to have that person that they have the strength of what is your weakness. So he had guys that knew a lot, that were really great at just going out there and bringing in work.
Yeah, gotcha. So the process, or what's the process like when you get a project? Say, like, okay, the Avengers, for example, when they come to you, do they have an idea of what they're looking, or do you sit and kind of sketch out ideas of what you think would work? I mean, what's your process like for
it's
the movie poster?
It's a little of both. Like one, actually, I'll bring one up because it's just a recent one, and I was very proud of it. It was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre teaser poster. That one just recently came out on Halloween, and it was like the clients had some ideas of, they were like, we're thinking of like, they give you like a broad range of ideas they're thinking of, but they're like, there's a painting, there's this artist we like, and I remember seeing that painting. It gave me a flashback of the Michael Keaton Batman. Let me see if you remember the scene. Remember the Michael Keaton Batman with Jack Nicholson's Joker?
Yeah.
And the Joker breaks in the art, like this restaurant, and they start crashing the paints. And then there's this one scene where the guy was about to stab a paint, but then Jack Nicholson
stopped him. He said something about this painting I like.
It was that painting the client mentioned.
Oh, wow.
It got me a huge flashback, and I was like, I remember that scene. I love that scene. And so I made that illustration that you see that's out there right now. It was like you just try to make up some of the coolest ideas. It's almost like they sometimes the clients do or don't throw you something. Sometimes they don't. They just just make something cool, or they'll throw you some ideas what they're thinking, and then it's your job. And how Bond works is like over 60 or 100 art directors. So you're not only competing with the companies out there, you also are competing with everyone else in your company to throw ideas and see which one sticks.
Yeah.
What my department does is sometimes, all the time, is like, if there's something an idea that would look way better if it was built in 3D, for example, like Game of Thrones would help us win some projects. Even the one that was just released, King Kong versus Godzilla, we that one that just released the poster, we did that. Is that to put us ahead of the competition, we built, we were able to work with ILM, and then we asked them, can you give us, we're a team, we can work with the softwares you have, and they allowed us to use Kong Godzilla. We were able to put it together and make help sell the posters for other people's ideas. So it was that way. It was a mix of both of us to just try to make this. And I even hired a map painter that worked in Call of Duty for 10 years to help us work on those on just elevating the quality of the movie posters we have. So it's definitely a progress, but what I still like about it compared to visual effects studios and stuff, it's still like you're working in a small team, once you narrow it down to the idea, and once they love that idea, it takes about 10 people or even 6 to get it to the finish line. Not like, when I worked on Avengers the movie, it was like 500 people.
Yeah, it's a big production. It's a big production. So is the turnaround time relative? I mean, is it a good amount of turnaround time to kind of spitball through ideas, or is it a quick turnaround time to get things out and for the movie?
They're fast. They're faster than visual effects studios and games. They're faster than probably any studio I've worked in. Sometimes we have we definitely would have less than a week to put together a model. And there's times I like the Godzilla. I worked on the Godzilla, for example, teaser poster 2014, the first
Yeah.
Godzilla teaser poster, and I I had to make the tail from scratch. They didn't even create Godzilla. I made it from scratch. It took. I stayed there overnight. It took. I think I finished in 2 days, and
Oh,
then the poster was done in 3 days, and we sent it out. There's time. There's the turnarounds are so quick. It's like we sometimes would just have a week to put it in. But I guess this is the experience I have in visual effects studios. I even worked in game companies before and everything. That everything I was learned from there, I used it, but then I threw away that wasn't necessary.
yeah.
In visual effects or games, you gotta typologize or UV unwrap properly to do that. You don't have to do that in movie posters. You could, because all that matters is what looks good in the outside.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So I was able to cut whatever the process I took weeks to do down to 3 to 4 days, and that's what able to get us always ahead of our competition is cut the time down so fast is that we could show them something before everyone else other competition has. So
Yeah.
I think that's what gets me excited. It's just the rush, because it's almost like you got a bomb that's gonna go off in 4 days. How can you defuse it? So it's the rush of doing quick turn. Same as motion, right? Motion is always fast, very fast turnaround. So
are you working on multiple movies at a time, or when? Okay, so that's a lot of stuff to be managing and kind of working on, especially like you were saying, in such a short period of time, you're putting in a lot of work.
Yeah, we average. I mean, on my side, I know others way more, but I remember on the summer, there's one summer a few years back, I think I had like up to 15 projects in a week.
Yeah,
that I managed in 1 week, and it was nuts because movies, the summer. Oh no, it was before. It was in January. From January to spring break, we get swamped because of the summer releases.
Yeah, summer releases and things.
And
but
so
is it like traditional? Is it like traditional, say, design or art, where you're giving the client like 3 or 4 versions of it, or okay?
No one knows this, but I'll bring it up. Like Game of Thrones, back to that one, because it was such an experience working on those movie posters. The television posters is one. I think it was season 6. There is like 5,000 designs that no one in the world's ever going to see.
Wow.
And some of them are the most amazing designs you've ever seen.
Oh my god, 5,000.
5,000.
That is insane.
That's just from our end. Who knows? They go to other distributors, so who knows? We're probably maybe close to 10,000 or designs they've seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's crazy. Mr. Michael, I appreciate you tuning in. Again, if you're just tuning in, I am sitting down talking with my friend Enrique Torres of BOND. Does some awesome movie posters. Mr. Strain also loved, or Mr. Quincy also loved The Strain. I really loved that show. I really loved that series. It was a great show. And I hate that they didn't carry it too long, but very interesting show for sure. I have touted that you are an Emmy Award winner. Tell us.
I guess I'll show it right now. Right there, it is.
Emmy Emmy. That looks insanely heavy. It looks insanely heavy. What's it like?
Heavier than it looks too.
What is it like getting 1 nominated for an Emmy and then 2 winning an Emmy? I mean, did you have any idea that you were nominated for an Emmy?
No, no one told me. I actually, since it was a freelance gig, it was one do my thing and then leave to the next job. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I didn't know a year later. He goes, you won an Emmy. Like a friend told me. I was like, someone said, "How's it feel winning an Emmy?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, we all won an Emmy." I was like, "Oh crap!" So I had to hit up the Academy Awards
Yeah.
website and tell them, "Hey, I heard I got an Emmy.
I
Is
heard
this
of
true?"
Give me my Emmy or what?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, so like, yeah, we'll send it to you. I'm like, oh, so
This is
2 weeks later, it came in the mail.
yeah. So what's it feel like? I mean, does it? What does it feel like to win an Emmy? Do you know?
It's I guess the best thing is at least you could leave something behind once this is all said and done. At least you have something that you said that you could show somebody that that you at least you've accomplished or done. So it's definitely one of the best things. And I have to say, when I got it, I think I was 30 when I got it. Right when I got the physical
Yeah.
Emmy, it got definitely got easier looking for work because I mean I don't that's my resume right now. Yeah. I can tell you a funny story. So there's you see me holding the Emmy, the photo. I hired well, it was a friend of mine. Yeah, I hired him but he was a professional photographer. And I go, I really need to take some good pictures of me with the Emmy, right? So he had some crazy ideas. And here's a funny story. So he goes, well, let's go to Hollywood Boulevard and have you take pictures of it. So I did that. And so I was taking pictures of it. And then people came and were taking pictures with me with it and want to take pictures with me. And there was this a family from, I forgot where they said, I think they're for the Philippines. And they're like, hey, look, it's Danny Trejo. Let's take pictures of Danny Trejo. I was like, oh. So they thought I was Danny Trejo holding.
Now that is Danny Trejo.
Yeah, I'm not that. What the hell? But yeah.
Oh man.
All those hundreds of pictures, we used the one that wasn't in Hollywood.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So.
Oh my God. We like I said, I appreciate everybody joining in, tuning in, sitting down with my friend Enrique, talking about all the stuff that's going on with him. I wanted to ask you and talk to you a little bit about just the growing diversity in this space. But before we do, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk about some of the other things outside of Bond and what you're doing with Bond, like your web comics and everything like that. We're going to dive into that, but we're going to take a quick break. Be right back for sure.
Thank you.
And we are back with Enrique Torres, creative director of 3D at Bond. Does some awesome movie poster designs. Please, again, make sure you jump on, say hey, where you're tuning in from. We're starting to see a lot more, like I said, especially in this kind of social climate that we're in. We're starting to see a lot more companies kind of step up and put more diversity out there. What are your kind of thoughts of just the growing diversity of talent that's starting to rise and become, showing their forefront? We're seeing things like Black Panther, Soul, all these great, canvas that just Netflix is putting out a lot of stuff from just a lot of creative talent, diverse talent out there. What's kind of what you're seeing in this industry, being out in LA and in the industry out there.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I'm very happy for that. I'm glad we even talked about this subject because, even for me, I've been an advocate of trying to hire diversity, and I've been part of the hiring process for many studios in the past. Even when I've even gone as far as doing the theme park stuff, I was always part of the hiring process, and that's always been the difficult part. It's just like you want to always bring in diversity, but then the one thing I learned out of all this is that it's hard to hire them when there's hardly enough diverse people applying
Yeah,
for it. And like even at Bond with that's what I love about the guys. They always care about that, number one. Well, of the years of now always attempting, and I feel like I failed many times when I'm not doing my job of trying to diversify. Finally, I've come to the realization that the one of the big things you want to blame too, that's part of all this, is the colleges.
yeah, yeah,
It's just like I've been through a few colleges. I mean, I don't mind naming names too, but it's just like, but I don't want to name names, specific names, because I almost want to blame everybody,
yeah,
all the colleges.
yeah,
When I come in to do a school speaking, or just to when they ask me to come and see the student work, I don't see diversity.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm sure you too. Just
Yeah. Do you think another big part of it is, and we kind of talked a little bit about it as far as how we grew up, just the access to a lot of the the software, the tools, the programs? Because like I said, that wasn't it kind of was, but it wasn't really prevalent in our
yeah,
neighborhoods. They're giving kids now a lot more access to expose them at an earlier age, which is, like I said, a big reason why I'm doing this show. Is I know how inspiring it is at a young age to see somebody that looks like you and shares your experiences and comes from the same background, that general background that you come from, to really push you and make you think outside of the box, that
yeah.
hey, this is something that I know I love doing, and I'm seeing somebody do it. Do you think that's going to be a big thing, really kind of going past the college stage of and going into the high schools and neighborhoods and really starting to
Yeah.
give kids that don't normally have access to these type of tools and things?
I 100% agree on that. I think even down to the high schools, getting them access, because we just, as we talked earlier from the beginning of this interview, me and you, we were not taught this, that there was no option to do that.
Yeah,
I didn't, when I went to high school, when I told them I would love to be an artist, they were like, no, you should, they were already pushing me out of
in
the
a certain
idea.
direction. Yeah,
Yeah, he said I should be a fireman, or he goes, if you want to get in the world of art, be an architect. I'm like, I don't want to be, but they didn't. They had no interest of me even, getting in the world of art. It was like they said, being a fireman or join the military, and it was just like, if that's because of the schools that, like you said, that are more diverse, that they're not trying to push that,
yeah,
then yeah, I have to agree. Then yeah, that they should, hopefully, because we live in a world where access to software and all is a lot easier. I'm hoping that they would teach kids more of that.
yeah. And it's amazing. I've talked to just so many artists that, like, when they were younger, it was like, man, I had no idea that you could make a living doing this. And it was, even though you intellectually knew somebody had to be making it, and getting paid, it was like in their mind they were thinking, wow, I just didn't know that I could
Yeah,
do this for a living, and this was something that I could do for a living.
isn't that crazy? It's like, yeah, nobody knew that. I mean, even 3D, you don't have to spend $5,000 for something.
No,
Blender is free. Yeah,
under free, there's so many things, but I think then it's just now, okay, giving kids access to computers, giving kids access to, like I said, the tools that just aren't normally in our neighborhoods. And I like to say I was pretty fortunate in the fact that, we all went through school and we had a counselor, that we would work with and, would help us. And I will give her credit. Her name was Miss Snyder, great counselor. She was a big advocate of hey, you got a talent here in this. And she knew I wanted to be a comic strip artist. So every time I would go in to sit down with her, she'd have a sheet of schools. Hey, this school is doing comic strip drawing or
Oh, that's great.
comic book art. So she was a real big advocate for helping me find schools that were really in line with what I wanted to do. And I think, like you were saying, that's the big thing. Having somebody that's an advocate and not trying to push you in a certain direction that they think that you should go, as opposed to what's in you and what your talent is really huge.
I 100% agree. Yeah, that's always a great. That it starts from people like us to. I mean, once you're an adult, kids want to. They're here to listen for guidance. So it's like, it's great when you found somebody that was able to give you that. And yeah, I think the schools definitely are lacking that. And I get that there's some teachers that are just maybe they're just overwhelmed.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
They're definitely not in the.
or they may not understand it.
Yeah, yeah. They may not understand the kid, and then too, I know, like I said, schools today are just kind of totally different than when I went to school. There were a lot of extracurricular programs that you could get into, art programs that you can get into, music programs, and they're slowly but surely, they started cutting away just this and that. And I think, like I said, the fact that you know our neighborhoods that I come from and neighborhoods that are just disenfranchised just don't have the access that a lot of other neighborhoods do to tools and programs that really encourage and foster those type of creative endeavors.
Actually, it's funny you brought that up too. I remember now when I got into characters, I met a guy about the same age as I am, 18, 19. And he was in high school. He took an animation class, but I was like, "Can you show me that school?" And I had to drive all the way up to a high class neighborhood, or upper class school, where they're teaching this. I was like an hour away from where I grew up, so it was like, you could tell it's just like you said, it's the budget. When you have these, neighborhoods that don't have the school budget, it does, it does suck to hear when you can't. Today's different, like you said. I'm sure it's probably costs less to do that, or when we grew up, yeah, they were cutting off everything, right? I remember when I was in school, they had an auto body class.
Yeah, auto body, a shop class. If you
Yeah.
get in the shop, like I said, when I went, they had just about every type of and I forget what they called it, but it was a auto body class, beauty care class, a hair class. That if you wanted to get into that, they had that. Commercial art class. So they had so many different courses and classes that were, like I said,
they just cut those off.
They just started cutting them off, and I think that's a big problem or a big issue with why we got so many kids that are coming out and not knowing what they want to do, or at least an idea of the direction that they want to go, or feeling like, okay, I got to spend 4 years kind of just at a college racking up debt trying to figure out this, only to come out and find out that's not what I want to do. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
I was gonna say, I'm sure I don't know, like when coming out of Art Institute, I don't know if you feel there's a group amount of people like us that we got a lot out of it, and I appreciate it. go an art institute. I'm always a firm believer. My parents always taught me, it's like, just take what just make the best of what you're given to you.
Yeah.
Art institute wasn't the best school, but they did taught me a lot.
Yeah.
That I made the best of it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of students that came out of there just are angry and blame the school that they didn't get to their career and all that. What do you think about that? Because I'm sure you met a lot of those people that blame Art Institute for the lack of their career.
No, I mean, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like I said, there's the Art Institute wasn't the greatest. And hindsight looking back, and what I tell people now is, hey, you're probably more better off doing a lot of online, schools and colleges, because you'll get a lot more targeted training in what you do. Plus spend way less than what you would probably, pay to go to a college.
Yeah.
Not knocking a college or anything like that, but with the advent of the internet and so many online colleges and courses coming in, you could get so much. But heck, Alan McKay's got a visual effects training that probably get way more knowledge than what you would get if you went to, say, a traditional 4-year school. And being taught by people that are working in the industry. To your point, it taught me a lot in what I do and taught me my skill. Of course, like when I went, they weren't teaching computers. It was traditional graphic design and commercial design, but it teaches, taught you a skill, showed you how to connect and make connections with other people and things like that. So like you said, you take out what you get from it and apply it. It's still, whether you go that route, whether you even do online school, it's still going to come on you to take that knowledge and make it work for you. I mean, it's not a magic pill type of thing. Well, okay, I got it, so a job's going to come. Al McKay says, you have to put in the work behind it to really make your career and the best that it can be. But I enjoyed my time there at the Art Institute. It was a great time. Like I said, there were a lot of, I had the opportunity. I think sometimes I had the opportunity to go to Cal Arts, where, my trajectory would have been had I decided to go that route. But whichever route I had taken, it still would have been up to me to, take it further and make my career the best that it could be. So it always comes back to what are you willing to put into it.
Exactly. Actually, you brought up a good point. Like back then, like colleges was the option. Now kids these days, like you said, they don't have to go to college. Like all the information's on the internet.
It's insane. So many great, like I said, if you want to learn, and he's another big fan of mine, Andrew Kramer. If you're into After Effects and things like that, you can just sit and watch him and learn just about anything you want to learn. Alan McKay, visual effects. So the internet has really brought it home as far as, and I tell people that if you really want to know something, there's no excuse not to be able to find it now.
Literally no excuse anymore.
And get the information, whatever it is that you want to learn, right online. YouTube is YouTube University.
Yeah, pretty much.
YouTube University, whatever you want to learn is that. You also do a web comics and a lot of plus you're launching a figurines business as well, Monster King Forge, which is figurines. What got you into doing figurines? Was it the 3D that you did, or you just love like creating characters and figurines?
So funny enough, when the pandemic happened, it was just like negativity. People were like, "Oh, this is the end of the world." Everybody was just, even in my job, everywhere, people were just feeling bad. And I was like, I don't know why I did it, but I was like, I'm gonna do a step-by-step model in ZBrush and posted on Instagram my daily progress, and it was a dwarf, and I was like, I'll just do like some. I think I was watching Lord of the Rings, and I saw the dwarves, so I go, I can do like a battle dwarf. so I kept posting my day-to-day process about it, and I finished it, and then people were telling me, dude, you should make like fantasy D&D characters, more of them. And it was like D&D's gotten so big because of the pandemic, because it's nothing to do with it, but you could yeah. So it's like just give it a try and do it. And it's like, I think you'll do really well. And I love fantasy characters, so I bought a book in D&D and looked at everything that they're doing. And it's funny enough, like you said, it's like I know nothing about making toys or figurines or any of that. My daughter right now, she's in Otis taking toy design, so she was actually able to, her and my wife were actually able to kind of like inspire me about it too. So I was like, well, I'll do, I'll go online and see how it's done for free. For free.
Pull up some YouTube videos and see.
That's why I've been watching a bunch of thousands of YouTube videos, and I was able to just go from there and make my store out of that. I felt like the pandemic is a perfect time.
Yeah.
And I learned this from working in the industry this long. I'm sure you have too. It's like, if you want your ideas to be done, don't wait for nobody else. Just do it.
Yeah.
We're not getting. I turned 40. I'm like, I'm not getting any younger. So I'm just gonna make my ideas, do it the way I want it to. If people like it, cool.
Yeah.
It's there for you. If you don't, then well, cool. So that's why I did the web comics of Galaxy Space Patrol. It was an old cartoon that I made. Like something I made when I was a kid about these goofy characters, and so I was like, I'm just gonna make it as a web comic, and then the whole, doing the Monster King Forge, same thing. I'm just like, no one, what? I'm not going to wait for anybody to work with me.
And I tell people that this is such a great time for content creators.
Oh yeah,
there's so many platforms out there to put your content that you don't have to wait and feel like you gotta go the traditional route of, I gotta get to Pixar before I can do my short little movie. No, you got YouTube if you really want to, put your stuff out there. If you're like I said, a filmmaker, you got YouTube. If you're a photographer, you got Instagram. There's so many different platforms to get
noticed.
And to get noticed. Like I said, I love using him as an example. And Andrew Kramer, that's the way he got the Bad Robot, because he was posting his After Effects tutorials on the website, on his website. And so, like you said, you don't have to wait to put your idea out there, whatever that idea may be. There's just way too many channels out there, and the world is just way too big, and the internet has just made it way too small, and people are just seeing it. And more than likely, like I said, a lot of the execs and hiring people at these studios, they're doing the exact same thing that we're all doing, scouring the internet and just looking for talent that are out there. So that's the way to get shown, is just to not wait, put your stuff out there.
No, you don't have to know how it was back then. Some kid living in Ohio moving to California and work at a bar in Los Angeles. The old saying, how it was.
You don't have to do that.
And just ask for a headshot. They have it right there. Oh, yeah.
You got your headshot now, though.
Yeah, you got the headshot, right?
Oh, man. I'm telling you, like I said, it's just such a great time for content creators. And I always say it, and I love it. Mr. Sean Bean. I don't know why I keep saying Sean Bean. I was watching Lord of the Rings. Sean Bellinger, he was the one that I was talking to, had on a couple of weeks ago. Great game modeler from EA, and he was the one we were talking about, the God of War commercial that Andrew Kramer had worked on, or not Andrew Kramer, but Alan McKay had worked on. That I was telling him about. Is such a cinematic type of thing. And it's just, like I said, kind of funny that for sure. So how do these things really help you uh, creatively wise when you go into Bond and doing your work for Bond? These outside elements that you're doing, and outside things like your web comics and the figurines, do they feed into your creativity
Oh yeah,
as a whole?
definitely does. I say it's like one of the coolest things actually was to give. I made a figurine of the Night King and they give it to HBO as a gift, and they were totally happy. They loved it. They invited me. They all paid to go to New York.
Wow.
And yeah, and the final season, to watch the premiere of the final season over there in the
So
theaters. It was like, but creative wise, yeah, it helps a lot because what back to characters, we were taught it's like if you do the same thing over and over, you hit a redundancy, and you start hitting the plateau with your art.
yeah,
You know, if you try to do things separate, outside of what you do every day, it actually helps you with your creativity. Also, especially when you're a designer pitching ideas,
yeah,
looking outside world every now and then helps you, with your job.
yeah, yeah.
So
You definitely have to have outside activities.
yeah,
One, to keep your sanity and keep you
yeah,
fresh, and two, to,
definitely that.
to help bring in these fresh ideas and things like that for sure. What's the best advice that you would probably give somebody kind of thinking about coming into this industry and space?
The one thing I always tell the kids is like, when I tell someone, hey, just give it a try, and they're like, you always hear, well, I don't know, I haven't gone to school for that, I don't know anything of this, whatever. I tell them, when my first visual effects job was wait, I don't know if anybody remembers me, the first GI Joe movie was
Oh yeah,
called.
yeah,
That was my first visual effects job.
yeah. Wow.
When I got hired, uh, you know, all they did is just gave me shot names and goes, here you go, no training, no nothing.
Oh,
It's
for
like,
real?
yeah, and it was just like I went ahead and did it. I was just like I didn't think twice. I think I kind of oversold myself or lied a little bit on my interview for that. So they're like, yeah, here you go. All right, you know this stuff. It was just, but
I don't know if you want to do that, people.
yeah,
But sometimes I
all
just
the years of interviews since I was a kid, I guess, got me. But it was like, yeah,
I'm laughing because I did kind of the same thing, but like I said, I was, doing, I was working at a an advertising agency, but and I'm dating myself because they were doing, it was a sporting company, and I was working
okay,
in the advertising department, and they were doing all the artwork with traditional boards, like paste up, putting it on the camera, shooting it, and this and that.
oh wow,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, like I said, I'm dating myself. That's when I started production work. But they were just they had a division out in California that was using computers to do the design and artwork, and they were shutting it down and bringing it here to the corporate office. So they were asking everybody in the art department, "Hey, do y'all know how to use computers? How to use computers and do design?" I had no idea.
yeah,
I,
like,
so I learned computers and stuff on the fly. Like I said, I didn't go
right,
to the art institute. They didn't have computer classes then, so everything I learned on the computers was just self-taught and learning from other people. So yeah, I lied to keep my job. So that's why I was laughing. It was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I feel you.
so you know more about it. Like that's be the best advice to tell a young kid that wants to be in the industry. Is just like you're not gonna don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Don't just do it. You're not gonna, like, one movie poster, if you see it, like, well, even the ones you showed right there, the Pacific Rim, I never built giant 500 feet robots in my life. They asked me, can you do it? I'm like, sure. I'll do it. I've done it a million times.
Like I said, you learn by doing, and you learn by failing. Like you said, and you pick up things. So, Mr. Sean, fake it till you make it.
There you go.
Sometimes you have to do that. Fake it till you make it, and just one, like you said. I think nowadays, being in studios, everybody, all the veterans know the ones coming in. They're, like you said, as long as you're open and say, "Hey, I'm new at this, and I'm learning this whole process," and keep yourself open to learning from other people and picking up all the skills that you need to, you'll start to see your skill level rise up. Better.
There's even young kids at Bond that they said that they're afraid of asking me because I thought I was gonna shove them off, and I'm like, no, all you have to do is ask. Don't.
Yeah, closed mouth don't get fed. Somebody told
you.
Closed mouth does not get fed for sure. Man, we are having such a great time. Sean, like I said, Sean was probably the longest interview, 2 hours. We're definitely coming up on an hour and a half. So we're kind of pushing down. And I
feel like we just touched the tip of the iceberg on this.
Yeah, we really haven't dived into just all the things. And I know I can sit here and we can talk about a lot of different things for a long time. But I do really, want to try and respect your time. I know you're so busy. But I do want to say I am so appreciative of being able to connect with you, Enrique. I'm so in awe of your talent and what you do.
Oh, thank you.
I definitely I love movie posters, and like I said, even though I do motion graphics and video animation. Like I said, my background is more design, and I love design. So I love the fact that you're, like you said, able to marry your sensibility of art, 3D visual effects, and all the things that you kind of love into this one space that works for you, and that really showcases again everything that he does. Like I said, he does some great, awesome work, and it's definitely a skill putting movie posters together. When you approach the project, are there things and principles that you have to keep in mind when you are putting them together? Or like I said, we kind of touched about it a little bit as far as your process, but design wise, what are you thinking when you're putting movie posters and things together?
Yeah, there's definitely when I do the 3D, here's the part. I'm sure you understand this more than anything because you know graphic design and then motion.
Yeah,
you have to. It's almost like you got to turn off and on a switch. It's almost like the graphic design switch. Whenever I actually do a graphic design poster, you almost have to stick to the traditional ideas of leading someone's eye to the title.
Yeah.
Right. So but then when I do 3D, it's hard to turn off that switch because then now it's not about leading eye. Now it's about making like the most highest resolution picture that would stand out for it, and that becomes more the technical and the sculptural side. So but when you do a movie poster, that's the thing you got to remember. It's about one image, so everything you can't hide. When I was in visual effects and motions, you could hide something in motion blur, right? You can motion blur that shit.
Where the heck?
Oh my god, I motion blur like a motherfucker.
You can rasterize a little, just motion blur the heck out of it a little.
Yeah, exactly. but move posters, you can't do that. So you got to constant. It has, like when you see the strain one, it's just like you really have to make that as high resolution as possible. So you got to spend more time painting. I was like,
Man,
I had to take a crash course on Mari because back then Substance Painter wasn't a big thing. Yeah, to paint all that
yeah.
high resolution texture. And then same thing with the tongue. That tongue was like 20 million polygons. So it's just like,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would crash any game engine right off the bat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why.
You can't use
Yeah.
it for games.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I already broke. Yeah, I would have got fired by then. So I can't move this. I'm like, yeah, it looks good, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
But
man,
that's
good.
yeah.
Doing a film here. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, like, say a movie, say a movie like Rogue One here or something like that. So, do studios come to you and say, "Hey, we need this character in the, we need the main character in, or we need these, we definitely need to show these characters."
Yeah. They will definitely tell us these are our main characters in the movies. They'll give us like a synopsis. Okay, this is the synopsis. She's the main character. Yada yada yada.
Yeah,
And then so that's the first thing you want to do when people work on movie posters. Okay, you definitely want to show the main character. But sometimes that's not true on some movie posters. It depends on this one. They wanted to tell a story. Joey Samediago, he's the one that created that poster. He I think there was a time it was just like, I think Darth Vader. I'm correct. I could be wrong, but I think he used Darth Vader as the centerpiece first, and then it led down to the other characters. So it went rounds with Disney on saying, oh, who should be more of the centerpiece, and go for that. But the layout was already done. So
yeah,
when the layout was done with this whole idea, I had to make the stormtroopers and the all those things in the bottom.
yeah. The
Those
wall.
were the stuff we had to create from like the walkers. I definitely created the walkers and the TIE fighters for this poster. And then
Really?
my 3D guys, I actually created from scratch what's it called, the Star Destroyer that's right behind
Yeah,
me.
yeah. The Star Destroyer is just above
So
it.
we had to create that from scratch, and great artist Nico, and then my team, they're fantastic guys. So it was cool. It took a team to make this, but not a huge team. But once the idea was made, it was the clients loved it, and then they pretty much started switching heads. Well, make her the main one, and then they switched it where, well, man, how about the other dude? We'll make him the main. So it was kind of like rounds are going down. What looks good on it? It was almost like the whole picture frame theory, a little to the left, a little to the right. So,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's about 20 rounds of that until they're like satisfied with that one.
Awesome.
I made, I think 40 tongues, different tongues of the strain.
Wow. Holy moly. Jeez.
All uglier than the other.
Amazing. Like I said, as you can see, Enrique does some amazing work. Do you feel like obviously there's so much more talent wise, and you're working around so many talented other talented artists. Do you feel like your skill level is just ratcheting up and up and up and up as you go along?
I'm well, I was gonna say I'm my worst critic, but no, my mom's my worst critic. Yeah. But I feel like I'm always a student.
Yeah.
Of the world art. I don't think I'm never satisfied, because when you go on, that's the other reason why people should always look out the outside world. You don't want to get too big headed, because going on ArtStation, seeing all those amazing artists already gets me humble quick.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm never satisfied of the level I'm at. I always want to say I need to get better. Every year I'm like, I need to get better. I need to get better. What do I need to do to get to that route? So no, I'm never. I still, in my mind, I still feel like I'm like a student, that young student still trying to learn something.
Yeah.
And like you said, this is and I'm more blessed and happy to be in the era we are now than when we were back then, because all the information is online, so I don't have to take an online class. I don't need. I mean, I don't have to take a class. I could take an online course or just go somewhere online to learn it. You know, hard surface organic modeling. I feel like I'm pretty comfortable about it. I know I still need to learn, but hard surface has always been my enemy, and so yeah.
The other way around with me. Like I said, hard surfaces was organic. It's just, character modeling and things like that always just seem to be a little bit harder for me than
Oh, really? Also, it's the opposite. Yeah. So it's always,
say, a machine or mechanical
cool.
part, something like that. Maybe because, like I said, I just thought like that. Although I do love character modeling. So obviously is the industry tool of choice for you Maya, or do you like dabble in Blender or other programs to do your 3D in?
So it's Maya's still like, because we want to work close with our clients.
Yeah.
So Maya's still our dominant one, but we are noticing the trend changing where they're hiring modelers or Blender.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like Blender's up and coming. Houdini, something I need to learn. But back then I was 3D Max. Actually, 3D Max was really heavy back then, and that's how I won the Emmy, just using 3D Max.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was dominant. That was dominant on the game world for a long time.
Yeah, it really was.
It was probably like 5 years ago. It just started changing to Maya.
Yeah.
Maya now, ZBrush. I love ZBrush, so I'm always ZBrush guy. And then Substance Painter. Those are like our main three that we use. So.
Is it hard? I mean, was it hard? I'm sure it is in the beginning, but is it hard jumping and keeping up with so many different packages?
It's a headache. It can be a headache, right? Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's like, okay, here's another. Because it's like, I'm sure when you've been in the industry this long, I think I've learned like 15 softwares, probably more than that. After Effects, and then Cinema 4D.
Yeah.
Then you got Blender, Houdini, Mari, and then some of these come and go, and then it's just like, sometimes it feels exhausting. It's not like where it becomes difficult. It's just it's going to be another road that you got to take to understand it. I feel Houdini and Blender and Unreal are starting to become really big. So I feel like
Unreal does some serious, and this was another thing Sean and I talked about. When he was on, just the difference between Unreal and Unity and that you can do. And Unreal is such of course you can do such cinema. They're making movies now with Unreal.
It's crazy, right? Yeah. I mean, I feel like next 5-10 years it might end up being like industry standard, not just in games but in film. So it's just like, might as well start learning it.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound negative about having to learn new software. It's just when you're in the industry for a long time, that's always been the thing, right? That's almost like part of your job. Just you gotta figure it out.
And like I said, even the software that you're using, they're always coming out with newer versions, newer things in it. So you're even in those things. Like I said, Photoshop is the same way, or Illustrator, and all the tools are the same. They come out with a new version, new tools within that, functions within that tool that you have to keep yourself, kind of up to date on. Of course, there's always certain functions and functionalities and tools that you're, always using, but it's such an ever-growing thing. I know that kind of the big, over curving thing with 3D. It was I couldn't get into 3D Studio Max. I mean, I knew how powerful it was. I couldn't get into Maya. It was just so overwhelming that it was just a little much for me. And like I said, I got my entryway into it through Lightwave and Modo. They just made it so much easier for me to grasp the concept and kind of get through 3D. Like I said, I know when I started 3D, I was sat down in front of, I don't know if you remember Softimage.
Which
Soft
one?
Softimage
Oh,
exercise.
Softimage. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's another thing I was sat down in front of that to learn 3D, and that they brought out, like I said, just a whole stack of manuals that just turned me off of 3D.
Yeah.
So I know how big a learning curve it is
It's a big one.
to get into it.
Moto, I was really hoping that was going to start turning heads, because it seemed like a very easy software to learn, but it kind of went silent.
Well, like I said, it's still a great software package. Of course, it's not industry standard, but it's a really great tool. And for me, it was because the people that started Moto originally came from Lightwave. It was a easy,
Okay.
yeah, it was an easy transition for me. Lightwave was super easy for me to really pick up, and as an artist, I could understand it. I didn't have to be a mathematician, like sitting in front of Softimage like that. It was like, okay, I can get this as an artist. And I still use Moto. It is a really great tool. It has a lot of great functionality. They're getting better at their character animation and such. But with any software, like I said, they come out with so many different versions every year with new functionalities and tools, and you're using so many other tools. It's hard to keep up sometimes with just everything that's going on, for sure.
It's a lot, but that's what makes the money. Like you said, it's just like, if you're willing, if you, I guess that'd be another good advice for tell kids. Just if you're willing to you always have to just keep yourself up to date every year, or at least every few years. That it's almost like that's the race. If you stop learning software, and you start slowing down, everyone else just starts going ahead of you. That, especially in the visual effects in the game world, that's like number one. Than everything else. Well, definitely motion graphics, right? Because that one's a big one. And I always, when I first started the print world, I always felt like everyone was like a decade behind.
Yeah.
I stepped in, and then because everyone was still Photoshop, and then they were still trying to fake 3D by, but because but because the clients were like, a lot of the reason why the evolution of the print world, the posters now had to evolve quick because of the clients. Because now the game, let's say the game clients for sure, they're like, we want you guys to use our characters. We don't want you to paint them. We don't want you to do nothing with them. That because the technology is so good. So that's what helped the print world. Okay, we got to hurry up and get up to speed with everything else.
Technology really does drive a lot as far as the progression of how good things could really be. For sure. Mr. Sean, Unreal Engine is becoming a cinematic tool. Really is. And I think that's kind of where they're heading. I think Unity will kind of always stay in that game space. Where it is, because that's their niche.
It's like they make a niche for the indie people, which is good. I love Unity.
Indie people, and like I said, they're really big. I know a lot of AR and VR companies are using Unity.
That's big too. And I think they still dominate in the phone app, like the game phone app market, because it's so easy to make it there.
Yeah, for sure. Miss Elizabeth, always wanting to redraw old comic strips to match the level of the newest one, for sure. They're always working to make but then always remember too, it is just a tool. It doesn't take the replace of your creativity. It's just there to help supplement. All the tools that you use are just that. Photoshop, Unreal. It's really there to help supplement your creativity about what you're putting out. So do definitely keep that in mind.
Exactly.
Yeah, they are. I think the Mandalorian they did
They
with
did using Unreal.
you know,
Yeah. It's
so,
for camera tracking, I
you
think.
know,
You know that.
which was a great show, The Mandalorian.
Yeah, check it out.
Loved it.
No
Uh,
spoilers.
Unreal is such a great tool. All lessons are free, and the software is free too. Yeah, I think all of them pretty much have a free version or a version in kind of indie version until you start making a certain
Yeah,
amount. And
which is great. That's fantastic.
and it's to their benefit. I mean, that gets the tools into the creative's hands to give them to let them use and start creating. I think that is a big reason why Blender is really
Yeah,
starting to gain traction is because it's a free tool and it really is a powerful tool.
yeah,
For being free, it's a very, very powerful tool. I think what, especially now, I know when I first started the 3D methodology was a little off-putting, which was what kept people kind of out of Blender for a while. And then when they started moving towards kind of that traditional 3D kind of environment and tools and
yeah.
stuff, that's when it really started taking off and really
And I
started.
think too, what helped take it off is because there's a lot of indie people. You know, like it's almost like Premiere got huge because a lot of people that are making their own YouTube channels are able to buy something that's affordable for
Yeah,
them to edit their own videos and all that. You
yeah,
know, people now, or want to make their own, sculpts like the toys like I did, or like make their own games that don't need a high production value. It's just like they can make it on their own by using the free software. So, I feel like we're in the era of a lot of indie people are,
yeah,
like you
yeah,
said, like Netflix and all that. They're looking for that next young big next talent.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah,
people don't understand webtoons is like there's Netflix have released like I think 4 shows that were based off the comic book,
yeah,
which is pretty insane.
yeah. Which is a nod to just get your content out there and
Yeah,
put your content out there, whatever it may be. So take that to heart, people, for sure. Um, this has been the democratization of tech, as Mr. Short likes to say. This has been, like I said, we could go on and on and on, Enrique, and talking. And we are pushing up on your record there, Sean, for sure. For sure.
we're almost in the record.
We are definitely going to. I am definitely going to close it out, even though I didn't get through half of the questions and conversation, which will allow me to bring you back on for
Yeah,
sure
I would love to come back.
this this year. Like I said, I had such a great time connecting with you, Sean. Sean, you see, I'm just tired. Uh, Oh, you just imprinted on my head there. It's such a great time connecting with you. Like I said, I'm just a big admirer of your work and your
Oh,
talent,
thank you. I really appreciate it.
and have just like I said, I'm honored that one, you accepted my connection request on LinkedIn, and
Oh, yeah.
two, that I'm able to call you friend. Is my
Yeah. And I apologize for taking this long to get back.
yeah. It took a while to get Enrique,
No, I'm sorry.
but
Yeah,
he
this problem called COVID. I don't know, just kind of. No, I'm just kidding.
so well worth it. So well worth taking that extra effort to get him on the show. Make sure that you check out the company Bond. We are Bond. They do some awesome, awesome movie posters. I don't think there's one movie poster on there that you won't recognize the movie or haven't seen the movie or show. Love it. He's also active, of course, on LinkedIn. You can connect with him. That's where I met my friend at on LinkedIn and connected with him.
Great
Uh,
place to connect. Best place to connect.
Best place to connect with him. Check out his Instagram page, Rick O Art, for sure. and see more of his work.
Yeah, not Danny Trejo, but Enrique
I
Torres.
thought I was talking to Danny Trejo.
Yeah, exactly.
That's priceless there, Danny Trejo. Oh my
uh,
Oh man, too funny. Check out his ArtStation profile where you can check out more of his stuff. Also, this is the first. He's got an IMDb page.
yeah.
Check out his professional IMDb page. Uh,
Yeah.
all of this stuff. If you want to check out his character figurines, Monster King 4s. Check out the Instagram page. You'll see a lot of stuff. I'm also going to be posting all these links in the show
Oh, thank you.
podcast, so you'll be able to check out, go to my YouTube page. Please subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you'll be notified when I post great content. But all his links will be in his show description. Check out his web comics. Galaxy Space Patrol is pretty cool. I enjoyed going through it the other night. Really love it. But again, if you take away one thing from all my shows, not just this one, is put your content out there. And I'm a big proponent because I try and do it myself. Is putting content because I have a lot of ideas. So putting content out there, whether it's a short movie, whether it's a comic strip, whether it's photographs, whether it's music, whatever it is, there's too many channels out there not taking advantage of. And people such as Enrique, creative directors and uh, uh, executives are searching the internet looking for talent and people that are out there. So that is the
Yeah.
best way to get noticed.
And don't get discouraged. It's like,
Yeah,
just because you got one or two followers and you're like, oh, I wish I'd get more. It'll happen over
it
time.
will. It
This
will.
this this show will get huge. Trust me, it'll get huge, and yeah,
I,
I'll be left out in the dust. I'll be one of those little guys who's like, hey,
I can say, like I said, I am so thankful not only to you, but to all. And I don't like to say guests; I like to say my friends that I bring on the show, helping me to make this show the best that it can possibly be. Uh,
yeah, we
again,
need more shows like this.
again, my aim is to bring people of color and from diverse backgrounds to really showcase the work and the skills and the talents that they have and that they're doing. Please make sure that you join me again. Next week is going to be a great show. This is a prime example. I had a chance to really connect with this young lady, Salve Black. She is currently a SCAD student, Savannah College of Art and Design, getting ready to get into the industry.
All
So
right.
looking forward to sitting down, talking with her. Very talented character animator, very talented person. So really looking forward to diving into next week's show, her goals and her dreams and her everything that she's learned to this point. So it's not about just highlighting people that are in high level positions or anything like that. I'm really trying to reach the whole range of gamut of students that are just coming into this industry and really have a passion for this industry. To connect with people like Enrique and learn from people like that and other people and really make this a connection place. So I thank everybody that's tuned in. Enrique, of course,
Thank you.
thank you for joining me. Definitely looking forward to having you back on the show
Yeah,
and later on. If if you could just hang around for just 1 second backstage
sure.
while I close out to properly thank you. But everybody, please connect with him. Like I said, go to my YouTube page, check out all his links. Make sure you connect with him in one form or fashion. You definitely won't be sorry. He's a great, awesome guy, and I appreciate you tuning in.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
We appreciate you. Hang around for just 1 second
Sure. Sure.
while I close this out.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you
All
for
right.
sure.
Guys, it's been another great show. Um, we definitely have given Sean's record a run for the money. These shows have been really going a lot longer than I had anticipated, but when the conversation is as fun and the guests and is as fun as they have been lately, that's just what happens. And I've enjoyed sitting, learning with them, learning from them, and connecting with them for sure. Uh, Mr. Sean, she and I connected on LinkedIn. I'm assuming you're talking about Salve. Uh, yes, make sure that's what this is all about, connecting. And she is very talented. I'm looking forward to Salve. And once you watch this, I'm looking forward to next week's show and having you on. Again, Mr. Sean, yeah, his work, Enrique's work is amazing for sure, which is, like I said, why I connected with him, because he does such great work, and he's a really nice guy, uh, for sure. So we've had fun talking and chatting. Again, make sure that you tune in next week, next Saturday, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. You know, as I always like to say about the color of motion, color stories come in all shades. They do. They come in all shades, and there are so many talented people out there that I have been blessed and have had the fun and pleasure of connecting with. Again, if you haven't already, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Uh, Go over. You can check out all the past shows and episodes to see all the great guests that I've had on to this date. It's hard to believe that this is episode 13 already, and I'm already booked out until May. So that lets you know I got a lot of great shows coming down the pipe. So excited about, and I'm definitely looking forward to bringing more of these for sure. Again, make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell notification, and that way you will get notified of when new content goes live. So, with that, I want to thank you, as always, for taking the time to, and this much time, uh, hanging around for the show. I hope that it was a great show for you. It was definitely great and fun for me. And I plan on seeing you again next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the weekend, people.